Tell us a little bit about what it was like to grow up in Memphis in your in your childhood.
I was the last of 8 children, born in a completely segregated time of life. Mother had an 8th grade education. Father had a 3rd grade education, and believe it or not, she could help me with my algebra when I was in high school. Mother, very religious lady, very poor. But all of us in Memphis at that time, we didn't know we were poor. I worked in hotels. I picked cotton. I plowed mules. I chopped corn, and that was the background. And we lived in segregated neighborhoods, segregated schools. You had to go to school, and that was the whole tenor where we were. I cooked in hotels. Cooked in a hotel called the Peabody Hotel downtown Memphis. Get out of school at 2:30 earliest in order to go to work and work until 11 o'clock.
What did your father do?
My father worked for a company called the Buckeye Cotton and Oil Company. It was a subsidiary of Procter & Gamble. They made linseed oil. They would take the cotton seeds, bring them, and reduce them to oil, and you see linseed oil in various products now, and that's what he did. He only had one arm, and because he lost his arm on the job, you didn't have workers' compensation. They gave him a lifetime job, so he never had to worry about being out of work, and that's how we were. He supported us, but in addition to the job, the company had a lot of land, and they gave him the land to plow and raise cotton on, and that subsidized his income in order to raise his family.
And your mother stayed at home? Was she a stay-at-home mother?
Yeah, she had raised 9 kids. Great lady. Till this day, I miss my mother.
What was great about her?
I don't generally, I'm at a stage in my life now that I think about my mother and my father. And my father's kind of a rolling stone. And she stayed there and kept 8 kids together. When we ranged from when I was 2 until my brothers and sisters in the 20s and 26s. But she kept the operation together. And she had a sister who lived in Chicago, my Aunt Mary. And my Aunt Mary would, as my brothers and sisters would get old enough, and she wanted to get us out of poverty, my oldest sister would go to Chicago and live with my Aunt Mary, and then she'd go out and live on her own, start working. And that sister would then bring another one of my brothers or sisters to Chicago with her. And my brother Mac would go. And eventually all of us left Memphis. I came to Cleveland with my brother Zeke. He came to Cleveland, and I came here first came in 1948, my junior year in high school. Then I finished and came back in 49 and stayed. I had to go into the Marine Corps in 51, and I came out in 53 and went to BW. So we all came, each one brought somebody else from the South.
How did you afford to go to BW?
Well, I spent 2 years in the Marine Corps. I washed dishes. I cooked steaks and pork chops for Marines, and I got the GI Bill, and that's what sent me to college.
And you and Zeke were both living with a relative?
No, Zeke was married here, and he came up with some of his friends, and he came in about 49, and I didn't come back until I got out of service in 53.
Okay, and did you work when you were in college?
Absolutely. Well, yeah, man, I went to college, and I worked on campus. I cooked hamburgers, whatever you had to do. And I never worked off campus for the 3 years that I was there. I came to school in January, and I finished in January in 54. Yeah, finished in '57. I never worked off campus. In the school year, I sometimes work in snack shops. But basically, in the summertime, I painted houses for the college. All right? I painted houses. I was getting my GI Bill. And at night, I would be a night watchman. Stayed on campus. Now, you have to punch a clock at certain designated areas and certain designated times. I'd paint houses during the day. And at night, I would get on a bicycle and I would go to the designated area and I'd punch in. All right? So let's say you're supposed to punch in at 5 minutes after 1. I'd go to the next designated area. That should be 1:30. Well, I would punch in at 10 minutes after 1 because I'm riding. Okay? You're not keeping up with the insurance policy. So they finally caught up with me and said, you got to take your time. But I did that for a couple of years, paint houses and be the night watchman. Now, remind you, I'm getting my GI Bill. So the treasurer of the college would, rather than pay me my salary for painting houses and also for night watchman, they would let that ride. Would let that money ride, and give that toward my school tuition and my room and board. And consequently, I had my GI Bill relatively free to do what I wanted to do with it. Okay, I didn't have to use that. I used my night watchman and I used my hamburger cooking. So I had a scheme.
Had you met Mary yet?
I met her in college. I met her my senior year. Yeah, I had a red dress on when I met her.
Where'd you meet her?
We was at the social occasion. A little short lady, red dress on, swept me off my feet. Said, girl, you got to marry me. Didn't take long. I was moving fast.
After you graduated from BW, was there did you go right into law school?
No, when I finished Baldwin Wallace, I went to school with Lionel Jones. I don't even remember. Lionel was head of the Legal Aid Society. We went to school together, and Buddy James. Buddy James became the law director of the city of Cleveland, and we all went to law school together. 54. I think I came out of law school. No. I went to law school in 58. Yeah, because I came out in 62 or 63. But we all went to law school together, and we lived in the same neighborhood.
Where?
In Glenville. I lived off of Saywell, and then I moved to 114th Street. Buddy lived on Saywell. Lionel's mother and father lived at 105th and Wade Park. Lionel and his parents were the first black Republicans I'd ever met. I'd never met them. And but we all went to law school together. Yeah.
Your older brother, who you mentioned early on, came to Cleveland a little bit before you, was involved, I believe, in politics in the city before you, who a lot of people have credited. I've heard people say that he was as good a street politician as anyone they've ever known. We're talking about your brother Zeke, who's not well now, but he was more than your older brother to you at times, was he not?
My best friend. He's my best friend. He was a guy that everybody loved him. Mm-hmm. He had a grin, he had a laugh, and he knew how to talk to people. He knew how to rub your back, and everybody loved him.
Not an educated guy, but boy, was he insightful.
Yeah. He knew what to say to people, but he also protected me. And no, he's not. I go see him twice a week now. But he remembers me. We talk. We sit down and talk. But just a great guy.